In this video, we'll see just how this massive force was surrounded and how Soviet determination endured even as the noose tightened around them. If you're ever thrust into a desperate conflict far from home, you'll probably want to make sure you have life insurance. Fortunately, Policy Genius, this video's sponsor, makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen. Here's a quick question for you. What did George Patton, Albert Kesselring, and Bernard Montgomery all have in common? Well, aside from being officers in the Second World War, they all suffered from unfortunate cases of male pattern baldness. And as we all know, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it, which is why today's video is sponsored by Keeps. If you hadn't guessed already, war can be a stressful business. Soldiers on an extended tour of duty have to face many hardships, but there is one that rarely gets the consideration it deserves: male pattern baldness. Unfortunately for the soldiers of the Second World War, the internet wouldn't be invented for another 50 years, so they had no way to know about today's sponsor, Keep. During any major conflict, information can be just as valuable as bullets. The Axis powers, in particular, sunk vast amounts of resources into the science of encryption. But while the vaunted Enigma machine was eventually cracked by Allied codebreakers, our sponsor NordVPN, as you're probably aware, Germany's plans during the Second World War were constantly frustrated by the efforts of Allied codebreakers, often to the point where they might as well have been posting them directly to the internet via unsecured coffee shop Wi-Fi. Fortunately for us today, During the Second World War, the Soviet Union struggled with many strategic problems, and Russian officers had to learn many harsh lessons before they gained the upper hand against the Axis forces. Fortunately, the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Among the many issues faced by resistance movements is that of communication. If your country has a hugely diverse population of at least 10 different ethnic backgrounds, people from villages only a few miles apart might struggle to understand each other, even in the national language. So if you ever find yourself having trouble conveying a message, or need some assistance with communication in general, Grammarly could mean the difference between success or failure.